Jacob Lofland sort of stumbled into the spotlight, but he had the charm and the accent to make it work. If you love Cooper and Landman, you won't believe what he's like in real life. Tons of television stars hail from big cities like New York or Los Angeles, but Lofland isn't one of them. He grew up in Briggsville, Arkansas, a town with a population that occasionally dips below 100 people, depending on the weather. So no surprise, most of his early life experiences were steeped in that small-town flavor. Reflecting on his childhood, Lofland told Interview magazine that his class in school growing up had about 7 kids. That's actually how he got his start in acting. Sort of. He said, "I'd done Christmas plays. If you didn't do the play, there wasn't going to be a play. We were all always in the plays, even though we hated it." As just an average kid growing up, Lofland didn't have any particular connection to Hollywood. His father ran a sawmill, and his mother Deborah gave him several years of homeschooling. Neither one of his parents imagined that Lofland would ever become a big star, but that's what fate had in store for him. As a kid, Lofland never thought he'd become an actor. In fact, from the sounds of it, the idea never even crossed his mind. So when his big break came, it was the result of a half-hearted joke that just happened to change everything. It all started when his mom saw a casting call for a child actor with Lofland's description. Laughing at the coincidence, Deborah encouraged her son to apply. He did, just for kicks. As wild as the idea of cinching a movie role with a single audition may be, Lofland seemed destined for success. When Mud filmmaker Jeff Nichols saw Lofland's application, he couldn't believe his luck. He told Arkansas Times, "I remember scrolling through the list of videos which allowed you to see a photo of each kid. I immediately stopped on Jacob's because he looked exactly like the mental picture I had of Neckbone." And when Nichols played Lofland's audition tape, all the pieces came together. He said, "His mouth opened, those teeth showed, and that accent came out. I was sold."
What you think?
I think you want us to run around sticking our necks out, getting everything you need, just so you can take our boat.
That's about it.
One of the most exciting factors of Lofland's breakout role in Mud pertained to the cast. He got to work with 2 huge stars, Reese Witherspoon and Matthew McConaughey. And as filming went on, Lofland built a particularly strong bond with McConaughey. In some ways, a mentoring relationship between McConaughey and Lofland was an obvious next step. It also helped that the two of them came from similar backgrounds. A few roles after Mud, Lofland reunited with McConaughey for Free State of Jones. Leading up to an especially emotional scene, Lofland found that he was overwhelmed and approached McConaughey for help. He told Dazed, "I was sitting there with Matthew in a tent, stressing about the crying scene coming up, and I asked him if he had any tips. He said, 'I do. Nobody can ever tell you that you have to cry.' And somehow that was exactly what I needed to hear to make it work." In the same Dazed interview, McConaughey noted that his mentee was always improving his skills, saying, "In Free State, he'd become a much more learned actor, and I was so pleased to see that in the time he'd educated himself on the craft."
Go! Go! Go!
While some child stars ditch Hollywood for normal jobs, Lofland knew that his future was in the entertainment industry. As he grew up, the young actor continued to audition for roles and work in front of the cameras. At first, his mom would accompany him on set, but when he hit 18 years old, Lofland was excited to enjoy a bit of independence. Reflecting on this time with Interview magazine, Lofland revealed that Texas Rising was the first project he shot as an independent legal adult. He explained, "It was the best thing an 18-year-old could ask for. You're by yourself in Mexico where you can do anything you want, running around with a bunch of other actors. It was definitely an experience. I don't know if it was a good or a bad one." He didn't expand with any stories about what might have happened while shooting, and there's no indication that he ever got in trouble or anything. But it's safe to say that with growing age and experience, a whole world of career possibilities was starting to open up. Following his experience on Texas Rising, Lofland wanted to keep accepting projects where he would get along well with his castmates. On some level, he was nervous about being an outsider, a fear that he felt twofold after being cast in Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials. Since it was the second film in the franchise, the main cast had already had a whole movie to build camaraderie with each other, and Lofland admitted that joining the team was intimidating.
They were a very close cast, so when I got here, I was kind of nervous to meet them, and, I was hoping I could, hang out with them, like they all do.
Despite Lofland's initial worries, he soon found that the team at Maze Runner was ready to welcome him with open arms, literally. He said that when he got on set and met the main actors, they welcomed him aboard with a hug. Lofland ended up forging a strong friendship with his co-stars and spent tons of time with them between shoots. By the time filming for the third film, The Death Cure, rolled around, Lofland was a core part of the family he'd initially been so nervous about joining. In many ways, Lofland's role as Cooper on Landman was the perfect fit. His father actually used to work on oil rigs. Although Lofland himself didn't have first-hand experience with the work, life sort of came full circle for him when he joined the rest of the cast for a 5-day-long oil rig boot camp to learn the ropes before filming Landman. He told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, "We went through a full week just to make sure that you have the skills to not get hurt. It's a dangerous thing to work around, but as long as you know what you're doing, everyone's safe."
Head on a swivel and do what you're told. There's faster ways to die, but not by much.
The boot camp actually led to conversations with his father about the job and the industry, which must have been all the more special given that his dad passed away the July before season 1 of Landman premiered. As he explained, "It was really cool to be in person and get to come up firsthand and be on a rig and kind of get to experience what my dad learned how to do." Of course, that training camp had work benefits too. Lofland explained that getting a bit of experience around the oil rigs and the heavy machinery gave him a dose of on-screen confidence when it came time to actually film around them. When it comes to getting into character, Lofland tries hard to deviate from the kind of acting that could fall flat. Rather than learning any particular method, he just tries to keep things genuine. So far, it's worked well for him. In 2025, Lofland told Matthew McConaughey in a conversation for Interview magazine, "I don't really have a process. I'm still just winging it, you know? I've learned a few little tricks, but I still have no idea what I'm doing."
Okay. You just say estoy comiendo un taco.
Estoy comiendo un taco.
Okay, you got it.
Obviously, McConaughey and Lofland go way back, and McConaughey was quick to applaud Lofland for his genuine style of acting, telling the young actor to stick to it. McConaughey knows a few things about acting at this point, and he explained, "What happens to a lot of actors is that when we learn what the hell we're doing, we can start to forget how not to act. At the base of what we do, acting is about seeing everything." According to the veteran actor, Lofland has done a great job of resisting that tendency and always bringing a sense of authenticity to the screen.
My word's the only thing I got on this planet, and I won't earn it for money.
Lofland has made a name for himself in the film industry at this point, but he's also one of Hollywood's most down-to-earth celebrities. Even as a young breakout star, he always felt like his true home was in Arkansas.
I'm sure it would be easier to live in LA and, be there for the auditions, but I wouldn't want to, I'd rather stay here, hands down. I love Arkansas.
That was in 2014. Fast forward to 2020, and fresh off his role in AMC's The Sun, Lofland put roots right back down where it all started, Briggsville, Arkansas. He said in a conversation with Dazed, "I just recently bought a house here a couple miles from where I grew up. I like to stay close." This move may have proved surprising to people who love the hustle and bustle of big cities, but for Lofland, putting down roots in rural Arkansas keeps him close to his friends and gives him a lifestyle he enjoys. As for Los Angeles, Lofland doesn't exactly hate it, but he takes serious issue with one major factor. He said, "I'm not much on traffic. I love driving, but I like driving on a 2-lane road where you can drive for hours and not see anybody." He'll be the first to admit that ditching LA has had an effect on his career. It hasn't exactly held him back, but it comes with its own inconveniences. He went on to say, "It's a big challenge having to do everything over Skype or phone, but I'm willing to keep going. I love where I live. It's one of the most beautiful places in America, and I like trying to keep it that way."
Look, Grandpappy, I'm a movie star.
Obviously, becoming an actor changed Lofland's life forever. He may have spent some time acting like a worker on an oil rig, but in a parallel timeline where he didn't land that role on mud, he might have become an oilman in real life. He said in Interview magazine, "There's a 90% chance I would be working on a rig somewhere or driving a truck. It's just what I was around and what everyone else does." He said that despite all the experiences he's been able to enjoy as an actor, there's still a part of him that looks back at the what-ifs. That's not to say that Lofland is sorry to have gotten into acting. In the same conversation, he reflected on the incredible opportunities showbiz has brought into his world. And looking toward the future, Lofland hopes to continue honing his craft and overcoming obstacles in front of the cameras. In a separate interview for Interview magazine, he admitted that he still has a lot to learn about his chosen career. So with all the drama and physical acting on Landman, what's the hardest thing for Cooper on set? He told Interview, "The hardest thing for me is crying. Where I'm from, it's been instilled in me since I was little that men don't cry. Thank God for teardrops and menthol."